Live blood I call her the drama queen. She's very expressive. She has a lot to say, and she's doesn't hold anything back. So all your secrets will be on the table.
Hello there, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are listening from in the world. Welcome to the official Truehope Canada podcast. My name is Simon. I'm going to be your host. Truehope Canada is a mind and body based supplement company that is dedicated to, first and foremost, promoting brain and body health through non-invasive nutritional means. And this podcast is designed to open up topics that are not frequently visited when it comes to the mainstream media. And our current series of episodes is discussing how different therapies, practices, and practitioners apply their profession to the huge topic of mental health. For more information about Truehope, you can visit truehopecanada.com, and you can find us on all the usual places: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Parler, MeWe, YouTube, and Rumble. Just search for YouTube. We'll put links in the show notes. But we've got another incredible guest with us today, Maureen Fontaine. Maureen wears a lot of hats: live and dry blood analysis, ontological coaching, and spiritual intuitive readings. But today we're going to focus on something really fascinating, and it's live and dry blood and its application towards mental health. Maureen, thank you so much for being with us today. It's an absolute pleasure. First question, how are you today in this beautiful but wild world?
I am well, thank you. I've navigated traffic and the rainstorm and a big truck in the driveway, so it's a good day.
Yeah, that's a good start to it. That's great. Perhaps you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey into the live and dry blood analysis that you perform now.
Absolutely. Everything starts somewhere. So I think my journey started as a young child, and it's followed me right up into my teaching years, where I became quite aware, very acutely aware of how calming the body was beneficial to cognitive ability, and diet was directly related as well. During the time as a teacher and focus on autism and ADD and ADHD, I saw that these things were directly applicable and that we needed more answers. So being driven by a high degree of curiosity, I wanted to investigate further how we can support children's learning and the parents of children that are challenged. And it was from there that I discovered this live and dry blood cell analysis, because it opened up a world, the between world, where there are answers for things that we don't have answers to.
Amazing. Yeah, that's a great introduction. Thank you so much. I've had a little experience with live and dry blood, not actually having the practice done myself, even though that's something I definitely want to do in the future. But just looking at the images that you share on your social media, it seems to be like such a wild, microscopic, very much alive world that we see underneath a microscope when you're looking at somebody's live or dry blood. Can you just tell us a little bit about the difference between, looking at dry blood, looking at live blood, and what the different processes are when it comes to that type of analysis?
Of course. Live blood I call her the drama queen. She's very expressive. She has a lot to say, and doesn't hold anything back. So all your secrets will be on the table. How you feel, how your physical body is. She's going to suggest that certain symptoms are present. Your state of mind will also be replicated by how the biology is. And your state of peace and calm within is very evident. The dry blood leans in a little bit differently, and it's more factual with respect to how these things impact the depth of tissue within you, your organs, where things are hanging out that you don't even know, where acid is accumulating and affecting how it goes for you. So digestion, bowel and intestinal health, and psychological being as well.
Wow, that's very cool. I had a thought before we actually started, and I wondered, considering we've had such a crazy 2020, have you seen a pattern of blood change in comparison to last year or even previous years?
It's a really, really great question. And I have been looking and looking for it. So the number one thing that people will ask me when they come in this wild and crazy 2020 is, do they have a virus? And what I can 100% tell them is that everyone carries viruses all the time. And I have not seen a spike in any such presentation in 2020, which is quite wonderful. We do see that there is a higher viral load in the body, and that is not unique to this year. So I can tell when you're leaning into a direction or into a pathology, be it a virus or be it a disease situation, that will be evident. What is presenting more often than not is the state of the mind. And the state of the mind creates a clutter and congestion in the live blood especially. It's especially evident there. The blood and its expression is directly proportional to that inner peace that you carry. The body will fluctuate between health and potential disease all the time, and many times a day. It's what your core being is up to that determines which direction it will lean toward more heavily. It's been quite fascinating. What I love is that people look at their blood, especially the live blood, and they can tell on themselves. They're going, oh, that looks exactly like I'm feeling right now.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, that's really cool. And yeah, of course, somebody's coming to you and they're potentially worried about a sickness or a virus or something, and yeah, you're obviously not going to see significant amounts of something like that in a live blood analysis, especially to a specific virus, right? No. And just when it comes to the aspect of the stressful year that we've been in, obviously lots of anxieties and depressions and mental health complications for a lot of people. Can you see evidence of that when you're looking at live blood?
Absolutely. So as we stress, we use up particular stored vitamins and minerals in our body, and the examination of live and dry blood will present that. So it will tell us what direction we are leaning into. If we're depleting all our minerals because of our worry cycle or all of our vitamins, there are all kinds of anomalies within the blood that will confirm that needs to be replenished. And that we should get on that in order to restore peace within the being. The biology itself being out of alignment will affect your mental health, your state of being.
Absolutely, and the blood doesn't lie.
The blood does not lie. In fact, it tells on you all the time.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, yeah, the blood, of course, is our, it's our life force, and as we just said, it doesn't lie. So, taking an analytical look underneath a microscope or something like that is incredibly powerful for not just the practitioner to make a treatment plan, but also for the client or the patient to actually look at that. Like you can think and feel and notice many different things in your life, but once you're actually looking on a screen and you're able to analyze something that's going on inside of you and make a connection to that, do you find that when people they come in, they see you, and they look under the microscope underneath on their blood, and they're talking about it with you, do they have like realizations of connecting what they see with what they feel?
They absolutely do. Sometimes it takes a bit of prompting depending on the person. Most people get there more quickly because of the visuals. When we're such a visual society, especially now, once they see, they start to put the pieces together more quickly for themselves. And I come in as the moderator of the storytelling. That moderation of the storytelling is basically a translation and a perspective that is lent towards their own understanding and their own self-discovery. It's a process of self-actualization. Is what it truly is. And again, I am the moderator, and I have experience to explain the signposts along the way. I really, really like to remind people that they are driving the story by their choices, by the way they align with their body, their mind, and their spirit. And it is essentially up to them. I offer suggestions. How they embrace the suggestions will determine outcome.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that. And I think that when it comes to any type of significant change that you want to make when it comes to your health, having the realization and that visual is incredibly powerful. I know with clients in the past that I've had in my nutrition practice is that when you sit down and actually look through a 2-week food journal, for example, then people are able to actually see where they're kind of like, in quotations, going wrong. And they can see those, those areas where they might be having huge gaps between meals, they're eating the kind of the same foods all the time. And then they can connect, what they see with actual data to, how they feel, and it sparks something in them that's going to be like that catalyst towards their change. And I can only imagine that, being able to see something so fascinating as your blood underneath a microscope and how it's behaving, and because it's obviously incredibly dynamic and changing all the time, how impactful that would be for somebody who's looking to make an investment towards changing their health.
Absolutely. What looking at the blood does and holds for each and every person, should they be open? Most people are very open, and that's why they end up in my office. And once in a while I have to do, cartwheels and somersaults, but I get them there. What's really cool is their own awareness is awakened. They are heard. They see that their symptoms and their experience of themselves is actually validated through what we're seeing. The blood speaks to us, and it does not hold back. What is very interesting all the time is that people that are on pharmaceuticals, and again, I have no judgment with respect to that. I know there is a place for all things, but we still see the underlying foundational reason why they got there in the first place. It's not because there was a death in the family only, or because they lost their job only, or because the world is upside down only. It's the culmination of all these things within the arms of the biological expression that determines how strongly we feel connected to our spirit selves, as well as our own psychology. I want to hold you capable of being with it all.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So underneath the microscope, you mentioned about how pharmaceutical drugs, they obviously have a place in many different times for people, and their primary role is to mask symptoms and to kind of be a bit of a band-aid. But when it comes to our blood, the drugs that people are taking, they don't mask that? You don't see that in the blood? You still see that root cause?
They will still show evidence of vitamin B deficiency, mineral deficiency, congestion, stagnation, and disarray. It's still there.
Yeah.
They just don't feel it because they've been disconnected from themselves. Again, I truly understand that sometimes we need those things to help us through a certain stage in life. But as one friend of mine who is now a retired clinical psychologist says, that those drugs were only intended for 3 months of use until the person got on their feet. I see people who have been on the same medications for 30 years, still struggling with the same thing, and never offered the option, or wanting the option, in fairness, to come off them. And so people's decisions will be their decisions, and it's, again, I have no judgment. What I want to show people, and what is very clear in the blood, is the accumulation of that synthetic chemical composition within their body. It will interfere and with functions and our ability to absorb. It will accumulate in the intestines, in the brain, in the heart, in the blood. It goes everywhere.
Yeah.
It has to go somewhere. Your body has no program for that synthetic material.
Yeah, and that's a really, really important point, because obviously so many people are very dependent on pharmaceuticals, and it ends up becoming a big part of their identity. I am this sick person who requires this drug, and that's a big part of who I am. And if you were to take that away, a lot of people wouldn't know where they are. And I think that just goes to show that everybody is craving some sort of support or comfort or connection, whether that be with taking a routine medication. But there's obviously so many different practitioners out there, and many different therapies that people can utilize. And I think a big part of this podcast series is to discuss with different practitioners those different types of modalities that are available for people to reach out to have a different type of connection with. Because people could be on a same drug for 30 years when that drug was without question not designed for that long period of a process, considering there's probably no testing on something being taken for 30 years. And most doctors aren't really going to revisit once they've prescribed something for a particular pathology. There are definitely doctors out there that do that, but it's not normal practice to do something like that. And that's when you do see people on drugs for many years without that being brought up again.
Being with ourselves and our vulnerability is extremely scary, especially when we don't have the tools to navigate that process. Things happen in life, and how we meet and greet an event, for example, can be extremely challenging. I know that there are other ways besides pharmaceuticals, and again, I understand there's a place for pharmaceuticals temporarily. The long-term use tends to separate us from ourselves and the strength that we are.
Absolutely. I would consider that the majority of people's pains, discomforts, and internal problems are signals and messages from the inside that something needs to be attended to. And again, drugs have their place, but masking and suppressing those internal messages in the long term, it's going to come back. That root cause is always going to be there. And with the dependency of certain synthetic chemicals, there's going to be at some point something's got to give within the body, and you're going to get a really big message the next time.
Well, there's a cost-benefit ratio that must always be examined. We face things in life because life is hard. Just look at this last year.
Sure.
Who would have imagined?
Mm-hmm.
But there's birth, there's death, there's divorce, there's, failed relationships. There's, we can make a big long list. How we navigate that is a testament to how aligned we are within. All of us become misaligned, every single person. Having tools to come back into alignment and trusting ourselves to be capable of such is the bigger goal.
Absolutely, yeah.
Deconstruction must occur. In other words, we must get bumped and bruised along the way in order to be catapulted into the evolution of our soul and our soul purpose here on this earth plane. It's huge.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think that all those things you just mentioned are all examples of yourself disconnecting from something, whether that's losing a job or losing a partner or whatever that may be. And we are desperate for connection now more than ever, with isolations and distancing, and we can see the mental health of people all over the place is getting worse and worse. And we're desperate for connection. Sometimes for a lot of people, that connection can be, is going to see their doctor and getting a drug, because that's some sort of connection to the outside world, to their internal pains.
What I am seeing more and more, I thought that at this time, during this kind of time of crisis or whatever it is, that I would be seeing more of a desperation with regards to how to maneuver. What I am seeing more so is people coming home to themselves, which I think is brilliant.
I agree.
It's a beautiful coming home. It's a becoming. It's a redefining and redesigning of how we do life, which is a brilliant opportunity. It's absolutely exquisite. What I like to do when people come to see me is I will introduce yourself to you through the visuals. This is your inside talking with us, not at us, not about us, but with us. That's what the viewing is doing, the viewing platform. It's a conversation, actually. I always like to address, should the patient be open, is how can you navigate this by using prayer, by using meditation, by using breath work? How can you layer this? Because it's not all about food, but yet it's so about food.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's about all of it. And so how do we layer this? We get you on board with diet and some supportive supplementation and navigating the balancing of the terrain. That's a super important part. The part that gets you better faster, even faster, and accelerates this process for you is for you to accept that you are where you are and that all the potential to move into your greater self exists within this realm that we're working with.
Absolutely. And I think that right now a lot of people have had to go internal and have had to rest and had to slow down the decrease the mass amounts of external stimuli that are constantly distracting us from ourselves, I suppose. And practices like nutrition and meditation and breath work, these are all tools that anybody can use at any time to actually put your focus and attention and awareness on yourself. And in my opinion, that is really the only place where you can create really good quality healing and change, is when you start separating yourself a little bit from your external environment and start focusing on the internal. You're going to have a really wild journey, and you're going to come to some big realizations, and with the support of practitioners, because I think you should always try and do when you're trying to do something big with yourself, you shouldn't do it alone. You should have a support system, whether that's family, friends, or a practitioner. Having that close connective coach to take you through the game a little bit is going to be profoundly important towards your healing process.
Absolutely. I'm a highly trained coach, life coach, but I think of myself more as a mentor. I've lived a lot of life. I've met all its sides. And in doing so, the deepening process has been excruciatingly painful, but so rich that I would change nothing. That alone is the best university I have ever attended in terms of growth, depth, expansion, and acceptance of who I am on this journey and my purpose. I hear what you say, and I hear what you're not saying, probably louder than what you're saying. Whether you're seeing me for blood or for spiritual mentoring or whatever it is that you're coming to me for, none of it is separate. But I hear what the deeper cry is. It's very clear to me. It shows up actually before you do. The fact that I can navigate you through your biology is, I think, the bonus. And I've practiced it so long and studied with so many amazing people that I am still truly amazed every time with the vast gift that it is. I help you bring all those parts together, should you be so willing, but I'm also very happy to lean into what your comfort level is, but I also will challenge you where it seems appropriate to do so. That's in service of you. If I don't challenge you, I haven't done my job.
That's awesome. I think for anyone who's going to sit down with you, it sounds like they're going to be well taken care of. I'd love to know what a live blood analysis consultation looks like.
Mm-hmm. Like any other consultation, we get to know each other through questions. I get a sense of you more by sitting with you. And the symptoms you're experiencing that we may talk about are also very, very important. And I really can hear and feel your pain. From there, we go examine the blood, and we spend quite a bit of time with the live blood. And I want to show you the best of you and the worst of you. Whether I look at my own blood and it's like stunning, it can also be pretty messy by the end. So blood is messy. Blood is not 100% cooperative. It's organic and it's expressive. So we hold it within that container on the slide and see all of its sides. Because if I only know you, Simon, as this incredible being in front of me, and never get to know that perhaps you're journeying through some things, I don't actually know you. So I need to know all of it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm there doing. Then we look at the dry blood and we go through that. And that again tells us where things are stuck in a different way. The live blood's very fluid. The dry blood is stationary. It's a morphology.
Yeah.
From there, I put together all my observations and come back to you with a plan of action that meets and greets you in a fashion that is user-friendly. And there's no pressure. Do I suggest certain things as far as supplementation? Yes. Are they permanent? Absolutely not. But I'm going to help you navigate the inner terrain, the milieu of the blood, which is going to accelerate your success. We're going to make basic food recommendations. And if we need to get deeper, I refer them to someone like you.
Okay.
Yeah, because my focus has changed, and is more the blood specifically. But if someone needs that support, then there are people like yourself who are brilliant at putting together a deeper plan that way. And I have some basic testing that I like people to do at home on their own, which gives me more information with respect to how to better individualize your treatment. We plan to meet in 4 to 6 weeks again to make sure that we have mobilized what needs to be mobilized. And from there, we can stretch it out. So it's all very individual, but I do really love when people come back so that I can evidence the change. And they may feel nothing, but they also may have lost weight that they've been looking to lose, or lifted from the fog is lifted from their brain, and they actually feel like living again.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Question about the the dry blood, so that I can picture the live blood being taken and then examined, and then is the dry blood just the live blood that's just settled and kind of and then done its thing, and it's kind of creating an image or a picture of, is it the actual image that's really important to look at, or is it the way the blood settles?
It's both.
It's both, okay.
So the dry blood is gathered from 1 drop of blood, and 8 layers are taken. Each layer goes deeper into the body and tells us it's a bit like looking at iridology, where there's a map. This is not as exacting as iridology, so we can make no claims to fame that way, but it's indicative, not definitive. As the blood dries, it has sort of a centrifugal I can never say that word, effect, where the larger particles are thrown to the outer edges, such as chemicals, etc., are thrown to the outer edges of that circle. And as the morphology occurs, or the drying of the blood occurs, there's coagulation that takes place, and it settles into patterns, basically. It settles into patterns. It tells me whether your foods are on track or not. It tells me, a lot of people come with a diagnosis or a potential diagnosis of, let's say, IBS, Crohn's, colitis, etc. And I go in and I look at the blood, and it's like, there's nothing to indicate that as a potential here. Which, again, I'm telling you one side that's suggesting that this doesn't even need to be a consideration, yet I will always encourage you to get other testing done, should you wish, of course. Sometimes I will tell you to absolutely seek out other testing. So it depends. I'm not going to pretend that I know everything, but I can help you ask better questions if you are also embracing the medical field. So it's not a separation, it's a collaborative.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point to make, is that I think most good complementary practitioners are looking to obtain as much information about your journey from you, and also, you know, any type of lab results or any diagnosis, or, you know, what's your doctor think. I think it's important to note that if you should be working with a practitioner that is looking to collaborate and work together with other people. I've seen your microscope in your office. It's pretty impressive. Can you tell me?
She's lovely, isn't she?
She's a beaut. Can you tell us a bit more about her?
Well, it's a Leica microscope, a medical microscope. I've had her for some time. One thing about microscopes, they basically stay the same over time. Yes, we can upgrade lenses and things like that. There's a special application for dark field microscopy that is different from other applications. And it's this particular microscope has been extremely kind in terms of how it works to reveal and amplify what's going on in the blood, or illuminate basically what's going on in the blood. It's a world that is very cosmic. It's a world that's very expressive. I can lose myself in a blood sample for many hours.
Wow.
So it's absolutely fascinating. There's the polymorphic process, or the pleomorphic process, which means the blood changes all the time. And that is dependent on the pH of the blood, the milieu. Blood pH, as people will always say, well, the blood never changes. Well, that's really true. The blood pH should be 7.365 to 7.41. So it has a really, really narrow margin. In the meantime, our biology will do handstands and backflips to keep the blood happy. And that's why I use the examination, or the collection of urine and saliva pH numbers over a period of time, and collected in a certain way to tell us what is going on inside. And that's the drama we see in the live blood, that expression. If we don't look at that, we're missing a really critical piece. The microscope, and that beautiful, beautiful lady that works with me, she will reveal. She's the big reveal for the imbalance that is ruling you.
Amazing. And I've seen on your Instagram, liveblood_analysis, you can go check that out. There's images that are red, the images that are blue. Can you explain the difference between that? Is that just a way that you use to view the blood differently? The
one with the dark background, or sometimes it looks blue, sometimes it looks black. That's live blood.
Okay.
And so that's moving. So what you're seeing when you look at the Instagram, that's actually a moment captured in time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. So you're actually, the camera does not have the ability to capture movement. I think perhaps some of the newer programs do, but I just find it's quite distracting for people, and I've not embraced that as a part. The red is the dry blood, and they're both very different, and it's the merging of the information from both angles that gives us, the platform to work from.
Amazing. Can you describe the type of person who you think could really benefit from live blood analysis?
I think my patient base continually tells me that the people that come in are those who have tried everything and aren't getting anywhere. There's no traction. Many of those people feel like they haven't been heard, that they've been dismissed, they haven't been heard, and they actually don't matter. It's very, very interesting. I also get people who don't wish to engage with allopathic medicine, and that's fine too. Mostly the people that I get are very open people. I get a lot of referrals. There's a lot of referrals. I don't want to know if someone paid for their appointment and they're coming just to make that person happy. But I can tell pretty quickly because they're not as invested. So people that come to see me are invested. People who come to see me are curious and looking for another way to have relationship with themselves.
Yeah, I see a lot of people who go to either an acupuncturist or a nutritionist or are looking for an alternative therapy. Many of them are coming from a place where they've been in the conventional model for many, many years, and they're not really seeing the results that they want. So they're looking for an alternative therapy. But then I see more and more people now that are looking towards nutrition or yoga or massage or chiropractic or, all these many other wonderful different modalities. People are going to these first, and they're being really assertive when it comes to their own health. And I think more and more people will be doing this, especially I think living in Victoria, British Columbia. I think there's a lot of people who are very, very aware of their own health, and that there are alternative things that people can do when it comes to healing before jumping into something like a drug or a surgery or something that's very serious.
I always tell people that they don't have a certain situation because they're deficient in a certain drug. That is not why the condition exists. So we need to think it differently. We have the condition because of everything that's led up to this moment. The drug is the peacemaker or the Band-Aid, as you said. But we still need to investigate. We still need to be curious. I ask people, aren't you curious about how it got this way in the first place? And if you're not curious, why not?
That's a really interesting question. Yeah.
We need to accept responsibility. This vehicle, our human body, is the greatest gift. The next greatest gift to our humanity are our emotions. Man, those are two big baskets to hold.
Yeah.
So when it comes to merging the emotional health, which is what this podcast is looking to merge for us, when we look at merging our spirit, our psychology, and our biology together, we have the best avenue to alignment, to wholeness that anyone could ever imagine. It's like during this world event, I thought, how am I going to hold this? Mm-hmm. I'm like anybody else.
Yeah.
What's going to work? So I thought we always, just like if someone has cancer, we have to meet a radical situation with radical means. We have to meet and greet the dragon.
Sure.
So what will I do to meet and greet that dragon? My choice, amongst other things, was becoming extremely pristine with my foods. Was I perfect? No, but I don't expect perfection. I gave that up a long time ago. All right, it's still there a little bit, but
okay, yeah,
because I'm human. But it's something that I've renegotiated, and then for me, I embraced a breathing technique that challenged me on many levels, and it made me mad, but it was the best therapy I could have ever done for myself, and I felt on top of things, not beneath things. Did I change the world? No, but I changed my world. And that's the more important thing.
That is definitely the more important thing.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's an amazing place to finish up with. Maureen, thank you so much. You can connect with Maureen on Facebook and Instagram. Her Instagram handle is liveblood_analysis. And on Facebook, it's Maureen Fontaine Intuitive Healing and maureenfontaine.com if you want to check out her website. I will leave notes in the show notes for you to connect with her. Maureen, an absolute pleasure as always. Thank you so much. Do you have any final words?
I am deeply grateful for the opportunity to speak with you as always, Simon. I am also I feel very honored always to represent people and to speak what they can't speak and to hold space for their process. There is no perfection. And I hold you with all of your difficulty, with your perceptions and perspectives, and help you realign with the real you, which is not those perceptions. And let's get you healthy.
Just lovely. I love it. Well, thank you very much again, Maureen. You've been listening to the official Truehope Canada podcast. We will be coming at you again next week. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you very much.